I've analyzed over 30 stocks in my $10,000 Robinhood portfolio, and today I'm gonna show you guys which ones performed the best and which ones performed the worst. Plus, I'm gonna break down exactly how much of each one of these stocks that I own in my portfolio. I'm gonna break down the percentage of my overall portfolio diversity for each one of these stocks. And to sum it all up, I'll let you guys know whether I'm net positive or net negative when combining all of these gains and losses in my portfolio. Hi guys, my name is Dennis, and in this channel I talk about personal finance as well as my continuous journey to financial freedom. Now let's get started by taking a quick look at last year's overall return, or should I say lack of return. Now since I'm making this video halfway into 2023, Robinhood only lets me check my portfolio's growth in the past 1 year's time only. So because of that, I ended up taking two separate screenshots of my yearly performance. The first one being from March to March, where you could see that we started off with a loss but then continued to crash all the way to the end of the year with a loss of almost 10%. And the second screenshot being from June to June, where you can see that my portfolio kept losing money more and more with each passing month. My Robinhood portfolio lost almost 10% in the past year, which ended up exceeding the loss of the S&P 500. The S&P 500 experienced around an 8% loss in the past year, which crushed the souls of many investors over the year. Now I know that my overall portfolio was completely destroyed in 2022, but there were some stocks in my portfolio that single-handedly kept me afloat and kept me going throughout the year. And that's exactly why I'm making this video right here, to show you guys the highest and lowest earning stocks in my portfolio and to show you guys the importance of diversification in your investments. Now before we get started, I just wanted to quickly mention that my portfolio is not perfect at all. I've made a bunch of mistakes in the year of 2022 where I tried to invest into non-dividend paying stocks just looking for growth and to see if I can earn a quick buck. And as I quickly realized, I'm not the best growth stock picker at all, and I ended up losing a bunch of money in my 2022 portfolio. Here you guys see a screenshot of the 8 non-dividend paying companies that lost me the most amount of money in my portfolio. Now I decided that I'm not gonna include these stocks as part of my worst performing stocks since I'm still a dividend investor, and I think that it'll be better to show you guys my worst performing dividend stocks instead. But when it comes to these 8 growth companies, I decided to keep them in my portfolio because I feel like I have nothing else to lose and I'm just gonna wait for them to grow and sell them at a higher price. And just another small disclaimer, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm not a financial advisor in any way, shape, or form, and I'm just a guy who's trying to share his investing journey on YouTube to anybody who's willing to listen. And just like so many investors, I'm prone to making mistakes, as you guys just saw right now with my non-dividend stock picks. Now that we got that out of the way, let's take a closer look at my best and worst performing dividend stock picks of 2022. Now I'm going to start this list with the 3 worst performing dividend stocks in my portfolio, starting with the worst one of them all by far, which is Hanesbrands, and also known as HBI. Now for those of you that don't know Hanesbrands, it's a multinational apparel company that owns and operates a portfolio of well-known consumer brands. Some of these most famous brands you might know in the United States as Hanes and Champion brand. Now Hanesbrands was down around 62% from the beginning of 2022 to the end of 2022. Now again, since I can't really see the full year of 2022 in my Robinhood portfolio, I ended up just searching HBI in Yahoo Finance and narrowing it down from January of 2022 till December 2022. Now as you guys can see right over here, I only own 25 shares of HBI, which makes it only about 1% of my overall portfolio diversity, which means that this 62% loss of my 25 shares of HBI didn't really create a major dent in my portfolio since I only own about 1% of HBI in comparison to my overall portfolio. Now the second place worst performing dividend stock in my Robinhood portfolio ended up to be Ford, also known as ticker symbol F. I'm pretty sure most of you watching this right now know Ford because it's a multinational automotive company that designs and manufactures all types of vehicles. Now Ford was down around 44% from the beginning of 2022 to the end of 2022. This stock also ended up bringing down my portfolio a little bit since I own around 22 shares of Ford, which accumulates to around 3% of my overall portfolio diversity. This means that the 44% drop that Ford experienced in 2022 only affected around 3% of my portfolio. Now this type of loss is completely understandable because the year of 2022 was a very hard year for all car stocks overall. Rising interest rates, supply chain problems, and inflation affected all car-related shares in the year of 2022. And now finally, in third place for the worst performing dividend-paying stocks in my portfolio, we have a blue chip dividend company that's been paying its dividends quarterly consecutively for the past 100 years. And yes, I'm talking about 3M. They create almost everything from adhesive tapes and chemicals to electrical parts, safety equipment, and office supplies. You name it, they've probably made it. Their products are used from anywhere from healthcare to automotive and even construction. When looking at it from the beginning of 2022 to the end of 2022, 3M company has lost around 32%. Now when looking into my Robinhood portfolio, as you guys can see that I own a total of 4.3 shares of 3M, which accumulates to around 3% of my overall portfolio diversity. And like before, this means that the 32% loss that 3M experienced in 2022 has affected only 3% of my portfolio. Now in my opinion, no matter how poorly this stock performed in the year of 2022, I still think that it's a great blue chip dividend stock to own for the rest of your life. I know that this stock will eventually bounce back up, so I'm planning to hold this stock. Now to sum it all up, when combining these three biggest losses in my portfolio, as well as the total percentage of my portfolio that this loss has affected, it comes out to be that my portfolio has lost a total of 138%, but only from 7% of my overall portfolio. Now this is the exact reason why I decided to diversify my portfolio as early on into my investing journey as possible. Since if you think about it, if I put all of my money into any single one of these stocks, I will be in big trouble right now. Now before moving on to the three best performing dividend stocks in my portfolio, if you guys are enjoying this video so far, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so that you can help this video spread to more people. Thank you. Now moving on, let's take a look at the three best performing dividend stocks in my portfolio in the year of 2022. And starting off with the third place winner for the best performing dividend paying stock in my portfolio, we have British Petroleum, also known as BP. BP is a British company that is one of the 10 largest oil and gas companies in the world. And when looking at it from the beginning of 2022 to the end of 2022, British Petroleum has gained and went up a total of 31% for the year. Now when looking into my Robinhood account, you guys could see that I own a total of 3 shares of BP, which accumulates to a whole 1% of my overall portfolio's diversity. Worth it. And now moving on to the second place winner for the best performing dividend paying stock in my portfolio, we have CVX, and also known as Chevron. And you guessed it, Chevron is also one of the 10 largest oil and gas companies in the world that provide consumer energy. Chevron went up a whopping 52% when looking at it from the beginning of 2022 till the end of 2022. This means that anyone holding Chevron stock throughout the whole year of 2022 would see a major difference in their portfolios. Now when looking at this stock in my portfolio, you guys can see that I own a total of 1.5 shares of Chevron, which accumulates to around 2% of my overall portfolio diversity. Now last but not least, moving on to the first place winner and the highest earning dividend paying company in my portfolio for the year of 2022, we have ExxonMobil, also known as XOM. ExxonMobil is one of the world's largest publicly traded oil and gas company. And like the other two best performing dividend stocks, you guessed it, this company also makes gas. ExxonMobil is yet another oil company that is one of the 10 largest oil companies in the world. And when looking at it from the beginning of 2022 to the end of 2022, ExxonMobil went up a total of 80% for the whole year. An 80% increase in 1 year of 2022 when comparing it to the S&P 500's loss of over 20% in that same year is just insane to think about. I definitely didn't expect any single one of my stock to explode the way this one did, but 80% it did. Now when looking into ExxonMobil in my Robinhood portfolio, you guys could see that I own a total of around 2 shares of ExxonMobil, which accumulates to almost around 2% of my overall portfolio diversity. Now, I don't know if you guys picked up on this yet, but I couldn't help but notice crazy similarities between the 3 best performing dividend stocks in my portfolio. And guess what? All 3 of them belong into one sector of the stock market, also known as the energy sector. But to sum it up, when combining these top 3 gains in my portfolio, as well as combining the total percentage of my portfolio that these gains affected, it comes out to be that my portfolio has gained a total of 163% but only from around 5% of my portfolio. I try my best to make sure that I don't go over 5% in my portfolio diversity in any single one stock. Doing this throughout my portfolio helps me allocate my money evenly throughout various different sectors of the stock market. This means that I wouldn't lose a lot of money if any single one sector decides to plummet down. But at the same time, as you guys saw right now, if any one sector goes up, for me, it doesn't go up by a lot. But diversifying my money came in clutch this time, because when you take my 3 biggest gains that you just saw right now of 163% and subtract my 3 biggest losses of 138%, you get a total of a 25% gain overall. This means that I got 25% gain when comparing these 6 stocks together. Now I know that there's so much more that goes into the price differences in my portfolio, but at least it's good to know that the 3 biggest gains of my portfolio in 2022 outweigh the 3 biggest losses. Now I'm just curious for a future video. Let me know in the comments down below how your stock portfolio is doing so far this year. But just to let you know that in the quarterly month of December, I received the highest amount of dividend income that I've ever received throughout my whole investing journey. If you guys want to see that, you can check out this video right here. Now don't forget to grab your free stocks down below in the video description. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.